And with that, we are so excited to really introduce you to the star of tonight's show, one of our Virginia Highlands welding graduates. Matt Roten is joining me. And Matt, I think you're on the other end of this camera. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Sure am.
Awesome. It's so great to have you here, Matt. Thanks for joining us. I know you came straight from work, so let's just jump into it and talk a little bit about work. Where are you working and what are you doing?
Well, right now I'm working at HAPCO in Abingdon. I weld aluminum poles and flag poles and stuff like that for all over America, and we do a lot of work for Canada and other countries too.
Wow. So you went to work for HAPCO right out of school here at Virginia Highlands.
Yes, sir.
That is fantastic. So can I just ask you a couple of questions about what you knew before? Had you ever welded before you came to Virginia Highlands?
No, sir, I hadn't. Not a
So
bit.
what kind of application do you get from the kinds of things that you learned here in class and then you went to work at HAPCO? Did it line up? Were you able to go to work and be productive?
Yes, sir. I put everything that I learned from the school and being in class, and it basically just carried over to my job. It was just like being in school, but making money at doing it. So it was pretty cool the way it worked out.
That is pretty cool. And you just said something that I think resonates with everybody. People come to college obviously for the education, but look, one of the goals is to get a good paying job on the other side. And you were able to find a good job right here locally in Abingdon with HAPCO. And now, Matt, people who know you have told me that you're pretty passionate about welding. So you feel like you found a new career?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do it for the rest of my life. Hopefully I'm gonna retire from HAPCO and in 30 or 40 years. I love it. It's so gratifying getting to be able to see what you do with your own hands, and coming from the background that I've had and being able to be proud of what I do. I don't know, it's just so self-gratifying. It's you can't even explain it really. So
That's fantastic. Now, I've heard a term that I think you might be able to enlighten us with a little bit, and that's the idea of a brotherhood of welders. Is that something that you've encountered now that you're out in the workplace?
yes, sir. When I came to school, we it was like all walks of life came into class. People from different areas, and some people were homeschooled, some people were country boys, some of us were just different people, and we all came in together as one, and we all got along great, and we all keep in touch, and it's like a family. So
Yeah, I would expect, but you tell me a little bit more. I would expect that because the welding program spends so much time together, right? You've got the labs and you're in there working together and learning the same things. You've probably developed some pretty interesting relationships just from your time here at Virginia Highlands that now exist outside of the college.
oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've met some really good people, and for the number one, like the instructor, Mr. Foltz. He is one of my closest friends, and I didn't know him before the college, and he's one of the greatest people I've ever met, And then a lot of the guys that I went to school with, any other time in life, we probably would have never crossed paths. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then we came to the college and we crossed paths, and now we're all best friends. I mean, we all keep in touch. Might not talk to them every day, but we all talk at least once or twice a week just to see how each other's doing and make sure everything's still on the right track. So
That's great. It's wonderful to stay connected. That
yeah,
kind of helps keep you motivated through the program too. Let
Yes,
me
sir.
let me ask you a question about the program, Matt. When you came to Virginia Highlands, how much time did you spend in the lab actually working on stuff with your hands?
I, a lot. I can't really tell you exact amount, but we would come in. Some days we would do the book work first, and we would do it for an hour or two or a couple hours, and then we would go to our booth. And then some days we would come in and just do booth work all day and get to do welding all day long. So it just depended on Mr. Folt's discretion on what he wanted to do. But
Okay. So it's not just theory, right? The welding that you learned here at Virginia Highlands wasn't just in theory. It was really practical, hands-on stuff.
Oh yeah, every day you got hands on. I mean, you might not have every day wasn't the same amount, but every day you had hands on welding, and then you learn other stuff, and I don't know. It's just you get a lot of self responsibility, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's just worth it to me, I think.
Hey, I wonder, is there anything in your classes here at Highlands, especially in the welding program, is there any content that when you got out into the workplace, you found that you were really well prepared to work in your new job because of something you learned at Highlands, maybe one of your skills or a particular course in the program?
Oh yeah, like well, for instance, like I had to take CPR, and and anywhere that you go, you have to know how to use, you have to use the AED systems and all that stuff in case something happens to something happens to someone on the work site. And then like we learned how to do plasma torch in welding, and I use it's called a BUGO system, but I use it every day at HAPCO. And if I wouldn't have learned how to do the plasma, then I wouldn't know how to do the BUGO. So it all like went hand in hand, so
That's great.
it's pretty wild.
I'm sure it's a great feeling to walk into a job and feel like you know what they're talking about when they say, "Can you do fill in the blank?" And you think, "Yeah, I learned how to do that at Virginia Highlands."
Right. Yeah. It's great, because used to you would go into a job and you're having to start. And you're like, well, how do I do this and how do I do that? But if you come to class, if you take welding and then you go to any welding manufacturer, anything that manufactures anything, and you got to weld, and you go in there and you already worked with these machines, then you already know what you're doing. You might have to learn their material, but it's already in your head. So
That's fantastic. All right, a couple more questions for you, real quick, Matt. One I would ask is, if you met a potential student on the sidewalk today, maybe some student here on campus who said, "I'm thinking about going into welding," and they asked you your opinion, what would you tell them?
I tell them it's a great opportunity. I mean, I, I'm so lucky and glad that I did it. I've made something with myself. And I'm proud of what I do. If somebody asks me, they're like, "Well, what do you do for a living?" I'm a welder. And they're like, most people's eyes light up. They're like, "You weld?" Because it's right now it's a dying passion. There's not as many people like back in the 80s and 70s. People welded all the time, and now it's not. It's a dying profession, and people are looking for them everywhere. So it would be a great opportunity to make money and to have something to make a career out of and to retire from in the long run. So
Yeah, that's terrific. All right, so this is going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit, Matt, but is it fair to say that the welding program at VHCC changed your career and maybe even your life path?
oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, if I wouldn't have made the move that I done or made to get in the position that I'm in now, if I wouldn't have went to Highlands, then I'd probably be still flipping burgers at Burger King, or cooking at Perkins in Bristol or something. But now I have a career, and I know that in 30 years from now I can retire and not have to worry about where my next meal's coming from or how I'm gonna pay my rent. I've worked for 30 years and made good money. So
Matt, man, just hearing you talk makes me so proud. I want you to know here at Virginia Highlands, we are so proud of you, not just because you've got a great job, but because of all the other things that you've poured your life into as a result of your education here at VHCC. I know you came straight from work, so I won't keep you any longer. Thanks for joining us today, Matt. We are incredibly proud of you. Man, Matt, thanks again. I'm overwhelmed at your story and the success you've enjoyed, and it makes me really grateful for our team here at Virginia Highlands that was able to be a part of your story and your journey along the way. So kudos to you again, Matt.